Hello, English learners. Welcome to the English with Michael YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me here today. Hopefully, we can learn a little bit. I've got a vocabulary lesson for you today. So, unless you've been living under a rock, I'm sure everyone knows about the coronavirus. If for some reason you don't know, the coronavirus is a virus that affects the respiratory system. And that just means the bits of your body that you use to breathe, like your lungs. So respire means to breathe. Of course, it's everywhere in the news at the moment. There's a lot of panic about it, and it seems to be slowly spreading around the world. So of course, in that sense, it's very scary. Of course, I should make a disclaimer that this is not a source of news. This is just an English lesson. So I'm not going to be sharing any of my opinions, or I try to avoid sharing any facts because I'm not the best source of information on that. But hopefully I can be a good source of information on English vocabulary. And because it's such a big topic at the moment, these words, although some of them are advanced, they are very, very useful. And if you listen to the news, you'll hear them all the time. So first of all, perhaps not so useful, but I find it quite interesting, the word corona. Corona. Corona is also the name of a beer, but before that, it comes from Latin meaning crown, the crown. The coronavirus was named as such because the virus looks like the shape of a crown because it's quite spiky. So it's not such a common word or such a common prefix in English, but if you ever see the word corona, you know it's something related to a crown. One common example is the term coronation. Coronation. And this means when someone becomes the new king or queen of a country. So there has been an outbreak of this coronavirus that has been spreading throughout 2020 since December. An outbreak is when something happens suddenly. It could be a fight, a war, or a disease. And this was an epidemic. An epidemic. An epidemic is just a widespread problem. A problem that spreads in many places. It's an epidemic that soon led to a pandemic. Pan, prefix means everything, all. So pandemic is a problem that spreads around the whole world. And the reason it's such a difficult thing to solve is because it can be transmitted from person to person, and often there are no symptoms. So if something can be transmitted, that means it goes from one thing to another thing. In this case, one person to another person. The virus transmits, even though the people feel fine. So a symptom is some kind of evidence or sign that they are not feeling well. So if you have the flu, you might have a fever, a headache, a cough, a sore throat. These are all symptoms. But often with the coronavirus, there are no symptoms, at least not at the beginning. So that's what many people are scared about. Because of these lack of symptoms, it becomes much harder to diagnose people. To diagnose is what a doctor might do when they tell you what is wrong with you. They tell you what condition you have. So if the doctor cannot identify what problem or illness you have, they cannot diagnose you with the disease, the illness. But there are things that we do know, and it is very contagious. Contagious. So contagious is when something can spread easily from one person to another person. It could be something positive like laughter. People say laughter is contagious because if one person laughs, many people around them probably start laughing as well. But more often than not, it's a negative thing. It's a disease, an illness, something like that. So it's contagious because if you cough or touch something, the virus can spread from that person to the other person. So people can be infected through one of these methods. If you touch something, that maybe someone else touched who is infected, then you touch your face, that's probably a way to get infected. And if you do get infected, that means you now have the virus as well. So it's much easier to get infected when something is contagious. At the moment, there is no vaccine. There is no vaccine for the coronavirus. Now, a vaccine is something that you're given to help cure the illness. Usually it's an injection that contains a small amount of the disease, so your body can build up immunity so it can fight it off and become stronger. So there is no vaccine, so you cannot get a vaccination to fight off this virus at the moment. But of course, hopefully that will change in the future. One way that governments and cities and areas are trying to control the problem is by isolating people. So people who have recently traveled and show symptoms are isolated for 14 days. If they're isolated, that means they are kept alone and they're not allowed to see other people, because then they might infect other people. So they're isolated until that period of time is over where they can spread the illness. On a larger scale, entire cities such as Wuhan have been quarantined. Now, the word quarantine means when something is cut off. So no one can go out, no one can come in. This is, of course, bad news for the people inside the quarantine, but it's a good way to try to stop spreading the virus. For those who do get the virus or do get any virus, there's a couple options. They can get treatment. So depending on the illness, you can get a different form of treatment. A treatment, or the verb is to treat something, is just to do something to try to get rid of the illness. So for example, if you have a cold, many people will recommend keeping warm, drinking lots of water, maybe honey or lemon or something like that, hot shower. There are many different ways that people claim you can do to treat your cold. Another option is to cure it. This is, of course, much better because cure means to get rid of it completely, to recover 100%. So you might treat your cold with a hot mug of lemon water or lemon tea. That might help treat your cold, but it won't cure your cold. In order to be cured, you have to wait for a few days. Luckily, the coronavirus is not completely fatal because the majority of people do recover, they do get better. So despite there not being a known cure to the illness, people have recovered and got better. But of course, the ultimate goal is to eradicate this virus. Eradicate means to kill something completely. It's kind of like we're having a battle or a war with the virus. We want to kill everything, kill them all. So we want to eradicate the virus. Hopefully, it will not affect us in the future. Okay, so we learned a lot of words today, all of them very, very useful for this topic. So I really hope you found something new in this video. And of course, once again, I want to remind everyone, no matter where you live in the world, don't forget to keep washing your hands and not getting into any unnecessary contact with people who might have symptoms. Thank you very, very much for watching my video today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.